Greetings once and all. Today's talk focuses on a concept called, is Nikola really vaporware while they're claiming Tesla can't do what they're doing? This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Bonjour, wie geht's? Здравствуйте. My talk today, well, first of all, if this is your first time on our channel, please like and subscribe. We have a lot of great material coming out that I think you'll enjoy. Secondly, it's appreciated if you like and subscribe. Today's talk sort of jumps into an open question. One of my viewers had suggested that Nikola, in a large fashion, is really a vaporware type of company and really doesn't exist. And so I was kind of surprised by the mention from my viewer, and mainly because Nikola has gotten a lot of good press. If you go online, you'll see a number of photos that show off both their current prototype vehicles as well as some of the partners they have. In fact, Bosch, Robert Bosch and Company from Germany has been recruited as the provider of the sort of in-wheel electric motors that will help move the vehicle. So I did some research to better understand Nikola, because most of the work I had done was sort of quick glances at Nikola, given that, number one, they're using a similar name to what Tesla's doing, and number two, they seem to have market credibility for having a presence in large-scale trucking, or a plan that might work combined with some vehicles that actually look pretty good. So after spending some time sort of reading and studying, there are a few, maybe 4 or 5 reasons why I actually believe that this is really a vaporware company when it comes to trucking, and that given how important trucking is and how many huge players are lurking to get into the business on the electric side, I really don't think they're a long-term viable entity. The first thing I did was kind of look up, is it possible to get running footage where you have images of the trucks towing, small even or large amounts of cargo, and there's nothing. There's just consistently excellent photos of a very aero and nice truck, both for the Nikola 1 and the Nikola 2. The second thing that sort of prompted my conclusion in this regard is that I'm not seeing any, the timetable that Nikola has put out, and last time I think they put out a timetable was June of this year, 2017. They suggested that they were entering trials for 2 to 3 years, and then would have finished products afterwards for customers to purchase. And the issue is that I have with this that suggests it's vaporware is the fact that, there's nothing that clients or customers can drive or journalists can drive right now. But when you look at Mercedes/Daimler or something like Tesla, not only do they have things that people can drive around, they're making deliveries in those vehicles as well. So I further think for the nothing to drive, no prototypes in sight zone, it sort of arrives at that. The third thing that comes to mind is, and this is sort of something I may do another post on, is that if you review the marketing materials that are associated with the website suggests that, everything about what electric trucks do, there's been an excellent job done by sort of the marketing team at Nikola to present data that supports what the truck is all about. Many of the same data points are the ones that Elon Musk covered when he introduced the new semi-truck. So there's sort of there's a fairly strong credibility that's presented by the website as well as by the video introduction of when the truck arrived, as well as the partners associated with it. But again, despite having all these terrific laid out data points on the website, there's nothing there that one can point to as something showing that they're finished. The fourth reason why I think this is vaporware likely to disappear is what I call how the big dogs operate versus how the little dogs operate. And what I mean by that is that in the case of both Tesla and in the case of Daimler-Benz, when it comes to electric trucks, the process that the great companies do is create several copies of a product, either run it internally for tests like Tesla was doing with their Mule, or hand those products to customers that kind of beat up the vehicle in a normal use process, and have engineers follow those trucks to figure out what happens to them and what needs to be fixed or adjusted. And in the case of Tesla, not only are we seeing, them out there delivering things, but I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of video of journalists, potential buyers, customers, folks that work at Tesla driving the truck and testing out some of the parameters laid out in the Tesla argument. I'm particularly fascinated by watching the giddy look on people's faces when they come back from accelerating the truck at high speed, around the Tesla Design Center. And so it's my belief that, the product exists, and it works. And we've seen it moving, and we've seen moving products. But again, going back to Nikola, we haven't seen any of this. So I would say that I'm frankly a little bit surprised. I wasn't hugely knowledgeable of Nikola previously. I've become more knowledgeable of who they are, and I'd have to say that I'm very surprised to find that it's very hard to see any tangible vehicles, etc., that show that they're a viable company. The final thing that I'd like to cover, and that I find sort of strange about their company, is that we're entering a zone where electric is already important and going to become huge. And I was actually very surprised to see the extent to which Nikola is doing outsourcing. As you all know, Tesla does a lot of building its own stuff. And one of it is you get the specs that you want when you do that. But two, you also get the benefit of limiting the degree to which competition can close you out, because they can sort of walk in and replicate your technology by simply going to other suppliers. So Elon Musk and company talked about this at the front end of when they first were designing their initial car. They pointed out that through the normal supply chain of the auto industry, you could kind of go out and sort of cobble together a car quickly, because you can simply go to the same suppliers that are being used by the major manufacturers and acquire whatever it is you may need from them. Tesla ran into some problems with this because the very suppliers that they were going to get certain parts, big companies like GM were figuring out who those suppliers were and then suggesting that Tesla wasn't going to be viable going forward. So they needed to be careful about how they planned production, because they were likely to end up with a huge amount of unsold inventory related to a fledgling company. So as a result, some of the founders of Tesla actually talked about a number of situations where vehicles were held up by the fact that suppliers had assumed very low numbers in terms of production, and that resulted in delays associated with getting further production done, because suppliers were fearful of whether or not the company was going to still exist and need the products they're being asked to be produced. So all that said, when we go over to Nikola, I was fascinated because, clearly they don't make batteries. Most of the truck they do not make. The final element of this is that that prompts me to agree that this may be vaporware, is that once the parts, etc., of the vehicle are put together, there's actually a corporation called Fitzgerald, which is actually going to be building the finished product truck for them. So I was also surprised by this, that there's no Nikola building where the Nikola sort of staff builds the truck and gets it out to market. It is actually going to be built by another company. So when you add up all of this, in my mind, I'd have to agree. I really believe it's vaporware. And as the marketplace gets full of other competitors that are ready to go with truck products, I think Nikola ends up disappearing, unfortunately. Again, I think that, there is some good technology there, some good ideas, some patents, etc. And that all can be sort of brought together to get a partnership with someone or find a way to find a niche that they can win in. But I think it's unfortunate that I'd have to agree. I'm questioning this company's viability going forward, and I really think it's more like a vaporware company where the marketing elements were all put together very well, but there's really no sort of great operations plan or company that's behind it. And beyond that, I'm stunned that given that circumstance that I've just described, that Nikola has the guts to claim that Tesla's a fraud when they actually have ways to implement everything they've described they're going to do. So I'm looking forward to doing more digging and research and presenting on this. Also look forward to your comments on this as well. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Thanks for taking time out to watch and subscribe. Tschüss, macht's gut, au revoir, lehitraot, hoda hafez. And look forward to any comments or suggestions of things that we should cover.